Imagine waking up, not in your warm bed, tucked under layers of blankets, but buried under a fresh drift of snow. The air doesn't just chill you. It bites a sharp, icy sting that takes your breath away. The silence is profound, absolute, broken only by the wind's mournful sigh as it whistles over an endless frozen landscape. There's no distant hum of traffic, no chirping birds, just the vast, empty quiet of a world gripped by ice. Your fingers and toes are already tingling with a painful cold. A sensation you've only ever felt after a snowball fight. But this is different. This is deeper, more pervasive. You pull your modern pajamas tighter, as if that thin cotton could offer any real protection, but the cold laughs at your efforts, seeping into your bones. A shiver starts in your core, not a gentle tremor, but a deep, uncontrollable shudder that rattles your teeth. You try to sit up, but your limbs feel heavy, sluggish, protesting against the chill that has already begun to numb them. The snow, surprisingly soft beneath you, offers no comfort, only a chilling reminder of your impossible predicament. This isn't a dream from which you'll soon wake up. This is a sudden, terrifying reality. The world around you is utterly alien, vast and white and hostile, and every instinct screams that you are completely, desperately unprepared. Today, we're going on a little thought experiment. Journey not through space or time machines, but through the chilling what if. What if you, as you are now, perhaps still in your pajamas or your comfy clothes, with your phone in your pocket and a cup of tea nearby, were suddenly dropped into the heart of the last great ice age? We're talking 20,000 years ago, folks. Picture it. Vast sheets of ice covering continents. A world untamed by human hands, ruled by creatures of myth and legend. No modern gear, no trusty smartphone to call for help, no survival training beyond what you picked up watching documentaries. Just you, your current clothing, and an overwhelming sense of oh dear. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? One moment you're cozy, the next you're a fish out of very, very cold water. The sheer absurdity of it is almost humorous, if it weren't so utterly terrifying. You'd instinctively reach for your phone, perhaps only to realize it's useless. A tiny, powerless brick in a world that doesn't even know what electricity is. Every comfort, every convenience you take for granted would simply vanish, leaving you utterly exposed. The stark reality of your first 24 hours would be a desperate struggle. Not for comfort or a good Wi-Fi signal, but for mere existence. And spoiler alert, for most of us, it would be a losing battle. Let's not sugarcoat it. The odds would be stacked against you in a way you can barely imagine. Your modern body, used to climate control and predictable environments, would immediately begin to protest. Every minute would be a fight against the cold, against the growing panic, against the crushing realization of your absolute vulnerability. You wouldn't be thinking about breakfast or your to-do list. You'd be thinking about how to stop shivering, how to find even a sliver of shelter, how to make it to the next hour. It would be a relentless, grueling fight where the rules of survival are brutal and unforgiving. Your comfortable existence, your soft hands, your uncalloused feet, all would be utterly unsuited for this harsh, ancient world. Let's paint a picture of this terrifying stage. Imagine the Earth during the last glacial maximum. It was a vastly different place. Gigantic ice sheets, sometimes miles thick, covered huge parts of North America, Europe, and Asia. Sea levels were dramatically lowered, exposing vast new land bridges and coastlines that no longer exist today. The world was colder, much, much colder. And it wasn't empty. Immense megafauna roamed this frigid world. Woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, and cave bears. It was a world of giants, of raw, untamed power, where every living thing was locked in a brutal struggle for survival. The air was crisp, clean, and utterly unforgiving, carrying the scent of snow and ancient earth. The very atmosphere would feel heavier, more primal, a constant reminder of the incredible forces that shaped this distant past. Now, let's pick a hypothetical location for our unfortunate time traveler. You, perhaps a temperate forest that you might recognize today, but now it's replaced by a frigid tundra or a vast, desolate steppe. Where lush trees once stood, there are now only stunted, wind-blasted shrubs, or perhaps nothing but endless, undulating plains of snow and frozen earth. Familiar landmarks are gone, buried under ice or transformed beyond recognition. The barrenness is overwhelming. There's no sign of human activity, no roads, no buildings, not even a distant smokestack. It's a landscape of pure desolation, stretching to a horizon that seems to mock your insignificance. The scale of it all is truly daunting, an empty canvas of white and gray, broken only by the occasional rock outcrop or a drift of snow sculpted by the ceaseless wind. The very emptiness of the landscape would feel heavy, oppressive, a crushing silence that absorbs all hope. The sensory experience of this world is intense. Visually, it's an endless expanse of white, broken only by the stark silhouettes of distant, snow-covered hills or the occasional dark patch of scrub. The sky might be a bleak gray or a piercing blue, but always with that vast, empty feel. The sound of the wind is your constant companion, a mournful sigh that never truly dies down, whispering tales of ancient cold and relentless hardship. It whips around you, stinging any exposed skin, chilling you to the bone. You can feel the biting cold on your face, in your nose, deep in your lungs with every shallow breath. Your modern shoes, if you're lucky enough to still be wearing them, quickly become soaked and useless, your feet rapidly losing all feeling. The sheer scale of the desolation is terrifying. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, just an infinite frozen expanse that seems to swallow all warmth and hope. Every breath is a struggle against the freezing air, every movement an effort against the numbing cold. The most immediate threat, however, is the cold's relentless embrace. Your body, a marvel of adaptation for your time, is completely unprepared for this. Hypothermia would set in surprisingly fast, without proper protection. First, the shivering starts violently, uncontrollably, as your body tries desperately to generate heat. Then comes the confusion, the fogginess in your mind, making it hard to think, hard to make rational decisions. Your dexterity vanishes, making even simple tasks, like trying to button a shirt, impossible. Eventually, your body's core temperature drops too low, and you slip into unconsciousness, a quiet, insidious fade into the cold. The clothes you're in, your modern pajamas or daily wear, offers zero protection against this kind of extreme cold. It might as well be tissue paper. Jeans become stiff and icy, shirts soak through instantly with sweat and meltwater, and regular jackets are mere suggestions of warmth. The clock is ticking from the very moment you wake up, and it's ticking fast. There's no escape, no immediate shelter, no warm house, just over the hill. No matches to start a fire, no cozy blankets to wrap yourself in. The sun, even if it's present, offers little solace, its weak rays merely glinting off the endless snow without providing any real warmth. Every breath is a struggle against the freezing air that burns your lungs. Your muscles begin to ache, your joints stiffen, and a profound weariness settles over you. The raw exposure to the elements is relentless, chipping away at your energy, your resolve, and ultimately your life force. You're not just cold, you're being systematically drained of warmth, vitality, and hope, minute by agonizing minute. The overwhelming reality is that, in this ancient frozen world, you are entirely on your own, a fragile spark against an immense and different winter. And without warmth, without shelter, that spark will quickly, inevitably be extinguished. Chapter 2. The Battle for Basic Needs. Food, water, and shelter. Even in a world covered in ice, the paradox of the water is a cruel twist. There's snow and ice everywhere, yet drinkable water is incredibly scarce. You might instinctively scoop up a handful of fresh snow, but consuming it directly is a terrible idea. It further lowers your core body temperature, speeding up the onset of hypothermia, which is already your biggest enemy. It's like throwing gasoline on a small, precious fire. Your body would have to expend vital energy to melt and warm that snow, energy you simply don't have to spare. So while you're surrounded by what looks like endless water, you're actually dying of thirst, a slow, agonizing process. How would Ice Age people get water? They were masters of survival, armed with knowledge passed down through countless generations. They'd melt ice with fire, a skill you completely lack. If you're lucky, you might stumble upon an unfrozen spring, but these would be rare and often hidden beneath snowdrifts. Even if you found one, who knows if the water is safe to drink? A last resort, and one you're likely not equipped for, would be consuming animal blood or fluids. But first, you'd need to catch an animal, which is a whole other impossible hurdle. Dehydration's stealthy grip sets in quickly, even in cold environments. You might not feel thirsty in the same way you do on a hot day, but your body is still losing fluids through respiration and exertion. This dehydration exacerbates hypothermia, making your blood thicker and harder to circulate, further compromising your body's ability to stay warm. It's a silent, invisible killer, working hand in hand with the cold, relentlessly chipping away at your chances. Your stomach begins to rumble, a sound that would quickly become a constant, nagging torment. This is the empty stomach, a hunter-gatherer's nightmare, especially if you're neither a hunter nor a gatherer. The complete absence of readily available food is a horrifying reality. There are no supermarkets, no corner stores, no drive-thrus. Forget agriculture, farming hasn't been invented yet. Processed goods, that's a concept from 20,000 years in the future. Your hunger would be a relentless, gnawing pain, quickly draining your energy and mental clarity. You'd likely be thinking about your favorite meal, a slice of pizza or a warm bowl of soup, a cruel memory in this barren landscape. The foraging folly would begin as desperation sets in. What few edible plants exist are likely buried under thick layers of snow or frozen solid. Even if you found something, identifying edible plants requires specialized knowledge passed down through generations of trial and error. Eating the wrong thing would be fatal, leading to poisoning or a violent sickness that would only hasten your demise in this unforgiving environment. Then there's the hunting hurdle. Imagine trying to hunt megafauna like woolly mammoths, colossal creatures weighing many tons, or fearsome cave bears with no tools, no training, no concept of tracking. It's not just difficult, it's outright suicidal. These animals are powerful, territorial, and incredibly dangerous. Even smaller game like Arctic hares or ptarmigan would be equally elusive, requiring immense skill in tracking, trapping, or stalking that you simply don't possess. Your modern body, built for comfort and convenience, would be utterly useless in this brutal food chain. You are far more likely to be the prey than the predator. Every calorie counts, and without a constant supply, your body would begin to consume itself, slowly, painfully. As darkness approaches, the chilling reality of shelter sets in. There are no ready-made homes. Forget tents, cabins, or even a sturdy lean-to. Natural shelters are rare. A shallow cave might offer some protection from the wind, but it could also be occupied by a dangerous predator, turning a potential refuge into a death trap. Every natural hollow, every rock overhang would need to be meticulously checked for inhabitants. A terrifying prospect when you're already exhausted and freezing. The challenge of construction is immense. Building even a basic snow cave or a sturdy lean-to takes time, energy, and specific knowledge you don't possess. You wouldn't know how to dig a stable snow cave that won't collapse on you, or how to properly insulate it. The tools needed, bones, stones, sinew, are not magically at hand. They need to be found, shaped, and prepared, a complex task for someone with no experience. Even if you manage to find a slight depression or a small snowdrift, the wind's cruelty would be relentless. The ceaseless wind would sap your warmth and energy at an alarming rate, cutting through your inadequate clothing like a knife. It would funnel cold air into any small space you found, making it impossible to truly warm up. And here's a dark thought. If by some miracle you managed to start a fire, perhaps after hours of desperate rubbing two sticks together, or finding a lightning strike, there's the danger of carbon monoxide poisoning from poorly ventilated fires in a small, enclosed space. This is a fatal mistake even modern campers can make, let alone someone with no experience. The cold, the wind, and the lack of proper shelter would be a terrifying, inescapable trio, ensuring that your long night would be one of profound suffering, with little hope of seeing the sunrise. Every minute spent exposed would drain you further, making your ultimate demise a certainty. Chapter 3. The perils beyond the elements, predators, pathogens, and people. As if the cold, hunger, and thirst weren't enough, you're not alone in this ancient world. This is the reign of beasts, and in this food chain, you're definitely on the menu. Picture the iconic predators of the Ice Age, the fearsome saber-toothed cats, with their dagger-like fangs silently stalking the plains. There are cave lions, larger and even more powerful than modern lions. And dire wolves, colossal ancestors of today's wolves, hunting in packs. And then perhaps the most terrifying of all, the giant short-faced bears. Massive creatures capable of running faster than a human with immense power. A lone, unprepared human, shivering and weak, would be an incredibly easy target, a soft, convenient meal. You wouldn't stand a chance. Your modern instincts, honed by a world where the biggest threat is usually a speeding car, are useless here. You'd have no concept of their hunting patterns, their territorial markings, or the subtle signs that signal their presence. And it's not just the obvious predators you need to worry about. Even the herbivores pose a threat. Creatures like the woolly rhinos or the mighty woolly mammoths, while not hunters, could be incredibly dangerous if startled or threatened. Imagine stumbling upon a herd of mammoths in the low light, perhaps unknowingly getting too close to a calf. These are not gentle giants. They're powerful, wild creatures that could easily crush you with a single stomp or a swipe of a tusk. They are not pets. They are untamed forces of nature, fiercely protective of their young and capable of immense destruction. The constant paranoia of being watched, of being stalked, would be a relentless mental torment. The subtle signs that survivalists learn to read, fresh tracks in the snow, the scent of a nearby den, the sudden silence of smaller animals, would be completely alien to you. Every shadow, every rustle in the distant frozen scrub would send a jolt of terror through your already frayed nerves. You'd quickly realize that you were just another potential meal in a brutal, unforgiving ecosystem. Beyond the visible threats, there are the invisible killers, diseases and injuries that, in our time, are mere inconveniences, but in the Ice Age would be lethal. Without modern medicine, a simple cut or bruise, perhaps from a fall on icy ground, could become infected. A bacterial infection, easily treated with antibiotics today, would quickly lead to sepsis, a full-body infection that would be agonizing and ultimately fatal. Frostbite is a constant, terrifying threat. Your exposed fingers and toes would quickly succumb to the freezing temperatures, turning black and necrotic, causing excruciating pain. Without medical intervention, this would lead to permanent damage, or require self-amputation, making any further movement impossible. The very act of surviving for a few hours would likely leave you with injuries that would ensure you wouldn't survive for long. Ancient pathogens, while different from many modern diseases, were still rampant. Exposure to animal-borne illnesses transmitted through bites or contact with carcasses would be a constant risk. Contaminated water, if you even managed to find any that wasn't frozen solid, could carry deadly parasites or bacteria. And the sheer stress on your immune system from constant cold, hunger, and exhaustion would make you incredibly vulnerable to any illness. Your body, unaccustomed to such extreme conditions, would quickly break down. There are no doctors, no hospitals, no painkillers, no comforting nurses. You are utterly alone in your pain and vulnerability, with nothing but the endless, indifferent cold for company. Every cough, every ache, every cut would be a terrifying harbinger of an inevitable, excruciating end, with no hope of relief. And then there's the incredibly complex and often dangerous human element. Encountering other humans in the Ice Age would be a double-edged sword. While some small nomadic groups might, in rare circumstances, offer help, the harsh realities of their existence mean they would be more likely to view you with extreme suspicion, hostility, or simply as a competitor for scarce resources. They might be desperately clinging to their own survival, with no surplus to share. Your unfamiliar appearance and behavior, your strange clothing, your lack of tools, your inability to communicate, would make you an instant outcast, or worse, a perceived threat. You'd look utterly alien to them, like a creature from another world, which in a way you are. The language barrier would be absolute. No shared language, no way to communicate your predicament, your desperate need for help. You wouldn't be able to explain where you came from, or that you mean no harm. Every gesture would be misinterpreted, every sound a source of confusion. This lack of communication could lead to misunderstanding, fear, and aggression. Ice Age societies operated on a brutal survival of the fittest culture. There was little room for the weak, the sick, or those who couldn't contribute immediately to the group's survival. Your complete lack of skills. No hunting, no foraging, no fire making, no tool crafting. would make you a burden, not an asset. In a world where every mouth had to earn its keep, you would likely be seen as a liability, not someone to be helped. So, even the promise of human contact carries a terrifying risk, turning potential saviors into potential executioners, in a world where compassion often yielded to the harsh demands of existence. Chapter 4. The Unsurvivable 24 Hours. A final reflection as the sun, if it even made an appearance, begins to set on your day. The inevitable outcome becomes horrifyingly clear. The compounding factors of extreme cold, the desperate lack of drinkable water, the gnawing emptiness of no food, the utter absence of any meaningful shelter would have already pushed your body and mind to their absolute breaking point. You'd be locked in a losing battle against hypothermia. Your body's core temperature plummeting, your muscles screaming with exhaustion. The hunger and thirst would be a relentless, agonizing torment, draining your last reserves of energy. On top of that, the constant threat from unseen predators, invisible dangers of disease from even a tiny cut, and the terrifying possibility of encountering hostile humans would create an inescapable sense of paranoia and despair. Every single one of these factors, on its own, would be devastating. Combined, they form an insurmountable wall. The mental and physical toll would be immense, grinding you down minute by agonizing minute. By the 24-hour mark, your body's breaking point would be long past. Your shivering would have likely ceased, a deceptive sign that your body is giving up its fight to stay warm. Confusion would have settled in, making coherent thought impossible. Your movements would be sluggish, uncoordinated. The pain from frostbite would be intense, or perhaps your affected limbs would already be numb. Despair, a heavy, suffocating blanket, would have covered you, extinguishing any flicker of hope. This isn't a dramatic, violent end. It's a quiet, insidious fade, a gentle, non-graphic depiction of succumbing to the elements. The cold simply wins. Your body, unable to sustain its vital functions, would slowly shut down. You'd likely drift into an unconscious state, perhaps even experiencing vivid, warm hallucinations, a cruel trick of the dying brain. The world simply continues without you, vast and indifferent. The snow silently covering your final resting place, leaving no trace. But here's where we pause and truly appreciate. While you, our modern-day time traveler, would almost certainly perish, there were true survivors in that brutal world. Our ancestors, the actual people who lived and thrived during the Ice Age, were incredibly ingenious and resilient. They weren't just primitive hunter-gatherers, they were supremely adapted survivalists, masters of their environment. They had thousands of generations of knowledge baked into their very being, a deep, intuitive understanding of the land, the animals, and the elements that we have completely lost. Their adaptations were astounding. They possessed unparalleled tracking skills, able to read the faintest signs in the snow and ice. They mastered tool-making, crafting incredibly effective weapons and implements from stone, bone, and wood. Their mastery of fire wasn't just about warmth. It was about cooking, protection, and social cohesion. Their intricate social structures and tightly knit communities provided essential support and shared knowledge. And their highly adapted clothing and shelters, crafted from animal hides and furs, offered unparalleled protection against the brutal cold. So, as you listen to this, cultivate a sense of awe and deep respect for these ancestors. They weren't just lucky, they were incredibly intelligent, resourceful, and unbelievably tough. They faced these very same conditions, day in and day out, not for a mere 24 hours, but for entire lifetimes. They persevered, they innovated, and they endured, ensuring the survival of our species against odds that seem utterly insurmountable to us today. They are why we are here, sitting comfortably, listening to these stories. Their struggle, their triumph, is literally in our DNA, a testament to the incredible resilience of humanity's past. They were the original tough guys and gals, making fire, hunting mammoths, and building homes out of bones and hides when you or I would have just politely frozen to death. Now, as the imagined ordeal fades, let's bring you back to the warmth of today. Feel your comfortable bed beneath you, the softness of your blankets, the familiar sounds of your home. Take a deep breath of the warm, unfrozen air. The imagined ordeal is over, and you are safe and sound. This is your gentle awakening, a return to comfort. It's a subtle reminder of the incredible privilege of modern life. Think about it. Readily available food that doesn't try to eat you back. clean, potable water from a tap, shelter that protects you from the harshest weather, medicine that can heal even simple cuts, the safety and security of a vast, interconnected society. All these things, so mundane to us, were once unimaginable luxuries, hard-won victories over an unforgiving world. While the Ice Age is long gone, the echoes of its lessons, the profound importance of resilience, the absolute necessity of adaptation, and the invaluable strength of community still resonate. And as you drift to sleep, perhaps you'll carry a little of that ancient strength within you. A quiet appreciation for the incredible journey taken by those who came before us, long, long ago. Sleep deeply now, knowing you are safe and warm, testament to the journey taken by those who came before us, long, long ago.